Good day to each and every one of us. I am Giselle May V. Ortega from Bised 2C Science. And now we are going to talk about the law of inheritance. The law of inheritance, there are three topics such as the law of dominance, the law of segregation, and last is the law of independent assortment. Now let's proceed to the topic number 1, which is the law of dominance. Did you know what is the law of dominance? Mendel's law of dominance states that when two alleles of an inherited pair is heterozygous, then the allele that is expressed is dominant, whereas the alleles that is not expressed recessive. When the two alleles are differ in a way that they are heterozygous or hybrid, the allele that would determine the trait is said to be dominant. Now, the problem number 1 is, let's say that a rabbit has a dominant trait of color brown representing by a capital letter B and color white representing by a small letter b as a recessive trait. Now, the question is what trait will express as dominant? If the male rabbit is homozygous brown, both represented by a capital letter B, and female rabbit is homozygous white, both represented by a small letter b. After we analyze the problem, we are going to cross by using of a Punnett square. As the result, as you can see, we have a both capital letter B for the male rabbit color brown homozygous, and on the side is both small letter b for the male rabbit color white, which is a homozygous. After we cross, we can identify now the genotype and phenotype. So in genotype, we have 4 heterozygous brown, and for the phenotype, we have 4 white, and the genotype and phenotypic ratios is 4/4. So now we can see that the color brown is dominant trait or dominant color between the male rabbit is homozygous brown and a female rabbit that is homozygous white, so the ratio is 4:4. Now let's talk about the problem number 2, which is the law of segregation. So what is the law of segregation? According to the law of segregation, only one of the two gene copies present in an organism is distributed to each gamete, egg or sperm. That is, makes an allocation of the gene copies is random. When egg and a sperm join in fertilizations, they form a new organism whose genotype consists of the alleles contained in the gametes. Problem number 2, let's say Francis and Giselle have been in relationship since high school, and after they finished school and they already had a stable job, they decided to get married. After their wedding, they talk about what the color of the child would be, because Francis has brown skin dominant and Giselle has white skin color type, which is the recessive. Using the law of segregation, determine that the likelihood that they will have a child with the same color as a father and a mother. So, in the given, the dominant is brown skin representing a capital letter B, and the recessive is the white skin representing by a small letter b. Francis is a homozygous brown skin, and also Giselle is a homozygous, but Giselle has a white skin. Each homozygous in the parent generation produces only one kind of gamete, so the F1, the offspring, is heterozygous brown skin color. Now, let's proceed to the law of independent assortment. So, ano nga ba ang law of independent assortment? This means that at time of gamete formation, the two genes segregate independently of each other as well as of other traits. Law of independence assortment emphasizes that there are separate genes for separate traits and characters, and they influence and sort themselves independently of the other genes. This law also says that at the time of gamete and zygote formation, genes are independently passed on from the parents to the offspring. Problem number 3, let's say in woman's curly hair representing by a capital letter H, which height is tall representing by a capital letter T is the dominant trait, and straight hair is representing by small letter h, which height is short representing by small letter t, is the recessive trait. Both parents are heterozygous and have curly hair and tall height. This problem is dihybrid cross. Using the law of independent assortment, what is the father and mother's genotype and phenotype in the ratio? So now let's proceed to the illustration for getting the father's and mother's genotype and phenotype in the ratio. As you can see in the illustration, the dominant is curly hair and tall representing a capital letter H and T, and the recessive is straight hair and short hair representing by small letter H and T. Now let's cross using a Punnett square. After we cross, in genotype we have 1 homozygous curly hair and tall, 2 heterozygous curly hair and homozygous tall, 2 homozygous curly hair and homozygous tall, 1 homozygous straight hair and tall, 4 heterozygous curly hair and tall, 1 homozygous curly hair and short, 2 homozygous curly hair and heterozygous short, 2 heterozygous curly hair and homozygous short, 1 homozygous straight hair and short. So the genotypic ratio is 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 1 is to 4 is to 1 is to 2 is to 2 is to 1. In phenotype, we have 9 curly hair and tall, 3 straight hair and tall, 3 curly hair and short, 1 straight hair and short. So the phenotypic ratio is 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. So that will be all. Thank you. I hope you learn